Welcome to Wander Mode, a podcast that wanders through topics such as entrepreneurship, traveling, and mamahood. As a teacher turned entrepreneur and a mama to one, I am sharing my tips and tricks to maintain harmony in a multifaceted life. Let's wander. I am your host, Julie Thomas, and today's episode is about the dexterity needed to switch masks. In the last few episodes, I outlined how I became a full-time entrepreneur after teaching for 16 years. I needed to recap this shift for a few reasons. First, I wanted listeners to know the context for this podcast, but also it was for my ability to process what has transpired in my life and led me to writing these scripts. I am a talk to process kind of person. In some ways, it has been the beauty of starting this podcast. I can talk and I can process, and there isn't anything or anyone to interrupt my processing. I really love a quote by Ella Baker. Ella Baker was a woman that was a significant force in shaping the development of the civil rights movement. And she said, in order to see where we are going, we not only must remember where we have been, but we must understand where we have been. I have had less than a year to process that I would no longer be a teacher. I took less than a year to prepare myself mentally to become an entrepreneur full-time. Although hubby and I have been in the short-term rental industry for 7 years, and I would say a certain level of familiarity exists in that portion of my daily routine, our business is expanding and changing, and we are exploring things for the first time because we now have the time and the ability to see where this business can go. I think I know where we are going. I certainly remember where we've been, but what I am working on is understanding where we have been and how that can help us build all of these dreams that we have for our future. This means that I have had to build a new daily routine, and I am trying to determine on a daily basis what to do with all of these ideas that are floating around in my head. My energy lately has been described by some as chaotic. Yikes. The first day I entered my home office as a full-time entrepreneur, it was this strange mixture of having a plan of what I wanted to do while trying to think of ideas to help us financially while we grow this business. Anyone who knows me understands that I am incredibly frugal, and I'm usually always stressed about money, even though I don't always have a reason to be. Leaving a full-time job with benefits goes against my penny pinching ways. So I had been surfing Facebook and Instagram, and I was seeing all of these influencers post these quick and easy side hustles that can supposedly make you thousands of dollars of passive income in no time. Sounds good, right? I started looking into paid surveys, paid games, recording audiobooks, etc. Every path led me to feeling more and more frustrated based on what I was finding. All of these gigs were portrayed so differently from what they were in reality. They had a low return for the amount of time that they were consuming. One day, I spent an hour trying to finish one of these paid surveys, only for it to tell me that I wasn't the demographic that they were looking for. At this particular moment, hubby came into my office and realized that I was incredibly frustrated and discouraged, and he suggested that I go for a walk and get some of my negative energy out. Those are my words, not his. So I walked, and I let my mind wander. As I contemplated the day, I recognized that I needed to stay true to my hopes for our business. I needed to be honing in on what would fill my cup. And when I pondered what filled me, it was not surveys, it was not recording audiobooks. I had the desire to help others achieve their dreams with the many talents and facets that they possess. And I can do that through this podcast. I can do that through consulting. I can do that by selling products to others to make their rentals successful. What I need to learn is patience. And what I need to build is my confidence and my belief that that will all come in good time. All of these explorations for the quick and easy schemes were a major distraction as I sought solutions to make me feel financially productive. This is kind of a new reality for me, right? Like, I'm used to going to work, getting a paycheck, coming home, and feeling sound in the fact that I just did what I needed to do in order to earn a paycheck. Now, my day-to-day existence is me showing up in my office and producing something from my own creativity and attempting to do something with that. And that is a very different concept for me. And so I was seeking all of these ways to feel like I was financially contributing to our family, when in reality, what I need to focus on is contributing to our business in a way that's going to help it continue to build. That particular day felt yucky because I wasn't being true to my core values. I returned home from that walk, I journaled to clear the air, and I started again. And I really knew where I needed to focus my time and energy. Now, maybe in me, my thoughts are still running wild and free with ideas, and my energy could probably still be described as chaotic. But my time the last few weeks has been spent on ideas that are all falling under the same umbrella of our Wander company now. So Wonderful Rentals will encompass our rental properties and our consulting services. And my hope for Wander Mode Co. is that I will be able to design some fun Wander-based merch and share thoughts through the podcast and the blog. This, I am hopeful, will help connect me to other entrepreneurs or other people who are thinking about entrepreneurship so that I can continue to grow within a community. Each day, I'm noticing that I have a clearer sense of purpose and direction in allocating my time. I drop my daughter off by 7:30 in the morning. She can eat breakfast at daycare and have time to sit and process her day. When we had first started at this particular daycare, she had really been struggling with drop-offs happening later in the day. And after discussing some things with her teacher, I realized that she was struggling to just enter the room and jump into whatever all the rest of the kids were doing. She, like her mom, needs more time to observe, and I am giving her that ability by getting her there early. So I drop her off by 7:30. I'm home by around 8. Depending on whether or not our spoiled dog also goes to doggy daycare. Yes, we are keeping that in our budget. I make breakfast and coffee to bring to my office, and hopefully by 8:30, I am seated and I have my space cleared for work. I cannot do clutter, so anything that gets piled up in my office over the weekend gets shoved in my closet, as my daughter loves playing in my office. Way more fun to use mom's whiteboard than her own, right? I journal between 8:30 and 9, and I found this lovely spa playlist on iTunes that I prefer listening to because it just helps me focus and it doesn't take my mind down different directions if I'm listening to songs with lyrics. Most of my journal entries are what I guess I would call wanderings or open journals. But on Mondays, I read insightful passages from books, and I draw cards from my Oracle deck. No, I am not using the Oracle deck to predict my future or have anything hocus pocus like happening to me. I simply use this deck to set my intentions for the week. My Oracle deck is called Messengers from the Great Bear. It is a deck designed from the Pacific Northwest where I grew up. And each card contains words associated with an animal, and then there's an exquisitely drawn picture of that animal on the card. It is a beautiful deck, and I have provided the link to it on Etsy if you're interested. It is considered an intuitive oracle deck, And it is truly that. It assists me in my intuition of what I think that I should be doing for the week. It provides me with intention around my thoughts and my actions. I consider myself a spiritual but not a religious person, and that's a topic for a different day. It really does not matter whether you believe that God, the earth, or another force is guiding you to particular messages. Messages are all around us if we pay attention. And I really do try to live my life intentionally, and I want my journey in entrepreneurship to be the same. So what I do is I draw a card on Mondays, and then I select passages right now from Pixie Lighthorse's Prayers of Honoring book, and that accompanies a card. It never ceases to amaze me how in sync the passages in the cards are every single week. And I feel this innate peace after reflecting on the descriptions of the cards and the prayers. They provide a focus and a grounding for the week, and I can return to those words and remember the peace that I felt in those moments. Today's card was the raccoon, and the passage was called Honoring the Ebb and Flow. Raccoons, as we know, wear masks. The card explained that wearing a mask can symbolize many things, from ceremony and ritual to work and daily tasks. Raccoon is here to teach you how to become a master of all of your masks and about the dexterity needed to switch our masks. On the card, it would say that raccoon reminds us that we can become whatever we desire by wearing one versus the other. What I find so interesting about drawing this card is that my entire podcast is built around this idea of being a multifaceted individual. We all wear different hats, or in this case, different masks. And this particular card drawing was significant, especially when paired with the ebb and flow prayer that I also selected. So the ebb and flow prayer said, "We are grateful for the uneven tides that keep us on our tiptoes in the constantly moving sand. Inspire peace in us, even when we're treading water. Help us cultivate trust that all is as it should be and as it was meant to be. Teach us to float effortlessly when the waves threaten to take us out for good. Help us learn that it is surrender held in tandem with our best effort that puts us on the right path." Let me repeat that last statement. Help us learn that it is surrender held in tandem with our best effort that puts us on the right path. So these two messages, aside from the fact that my podcast is about being a multifaceted person, they really hit home because I took a week off of my new role in this entrepreneur, creator world, and I went on a girls' trip with my mom and my kiddo. I had eagerly been anticipating this trip as my mom and I have been taking a week-long trip to travel together with my daughter for the last few years. These trips have been awesome opportunities to bond and create memories that will last a lifetime. This year, we went to the North Shore of Minnesota and stayed at one of our properties called Nordhaven. It's a quaint little condo in Tofte. Although I tried to be mentally present and I had a great time hiking, shopping, swimming, I felt this tension deep in my being, this constant pull to work. The fear of what would happen in taking a week off was not, I would say, totally consuming, because that would be an exaggeration, but it just kind of kept popping up in my thoughts. Would I be less focused on coming back? Would I remember the things that I was supposed to do? Will I have enough time to accomplish what I need? Although I could stifle these thoughts for the most part, I know that I was edgier than usual on this trip. So I reflected on it during my first alone time in over a week. I could tell I was feeling pretty dysregulated. I was out of this new routine that I had established. and it didn't feel great. And I really struggled to let go of it while I was on this trip. And the dysregulation came out in my mothering and in my general reactions to things. And when I read this card of being the raccoon, I recognized what I was lacking was the dexterity in switching my masks. This mask of entrepreneur had been established for several weeks post the school year, and it felt good. It felt empowering, inspiring, productive, confidence-giving, all of these super positive things. And in many ways, taking the week off led me to resent the need to change masks from business person to mom and daughter. I didn't work while we were away, but work was tickling the back of my mind constantly. And upon reflection, I desired to experience these life-giving moments with my daughter and my mom, and they will always be way more important to me than any job could ever be. But I need to learn to change my masks and come into each one with a clean slate. Feel good about what I've done and what I've accomplished from the week, but then now it's time to change roles and be something else. Is that possible? I hope so. The card and the passage were great reminders to me that I can't change the fact that I wear many masks. After all, like I said, this podcast is about finding harmony in a multifaceted life. But I can change my approach to how I wear each one. And I really need to work on embracing it fully to show the world who I want to be while wearing that mask. So if I want to show myself to the world in the best way possible as an entrepreneur, that means that I'm coming to consulting meetings prepared. I'm showing up on time. I'm doing my research. But when I put on my mom mask and I want to show the world that I am doing that well, that means then I'm being fully present with my daughter. I'm listening to the things that she's wanting to tell me. I care about the things that she cares about, etc. Today's podcast is all about understanding that my entrepreneurship journey is going to ebb and flow. I need to learn to be grateful for the uneven tides keeping me on my toes. It means that I am alive. It means that I am challenged. It means that I am learning. And that really is the place that I want to be. I'm going to leave you with some questions to help you evaluate where you're at. I want you to think about your mask as a work person. I want you to think about your mask as a family member. I want you to think about your mask as a parent, if that applies to you. How many masks do you wear in your waking life? Are you embracing the uneven tides that are bringing those masks closer and farther away? Are you paying attention to the constantly moving sand? Are you floating effortlessly through the changes that life is bringing? Do you trust that all is as it should be, as it was meant to be? Do you have dexterity in switching your masks? Take a moment and evaluate where you're at as you sit here today. If you wandered to this point in the episode, thank you for listening to the Wander Mode podcast. Please leave a review and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at WanderModeCo. Reach me by email at julie@wandermode.co. Until next time, wander on.